Hello, dear ones. What is fear? I want to talk about more about this fear thing that I have already talked quite a bit about a while ago. And it just keeps coming back as a topic and a body felt experience that I'm very, very curious about. So I'm just being with it and just trying to somehow pull it apart. And I want to share some about that with you today, while I very much encourage you to do the same. What is fear? Like, what the F is fear? What is it? What is it? Can we grab it and say, this is what is fear? No, can't, because it's not something real. It's something that we make into something that will happen or is happening to us that is dangerous for our well-being, our life, our existence, our health, our everything, right? When fear is there, when we are engaging with fear, it's of course because we think something bad is going to happen. And that is something that we live with 24/7. For some, it's much more pronounced, where it's just like anxiety is running their lives. For others, it's more in the background, and others, it's way, way in the background because we have learned to build certain structures on top of it, hoping to cancel out what this fear is actually telling us, right? It's these hypnotic suggestions that I've talked a lot about. That was one of Joel Goldsmith's sayings, that it's a hypnotic suggestion. Okay, so fear is a hypnotic suggestion. What does that mean? Is a hypnotic suggestion something we can, hold? Is it physical? Is it real? What is it? Again, it's not really real. It's a suggestion that hypnotizes us, convinces us that something is wrong, or something is dangerous, right? It's a suggestion. And most of us have bought it um, all the way through for a long, long time. And so that it has been lodged in our nervous system, whether we have a layer of something more strong, powerful, empowering on top of it to not feel it. Maybe we're just pumping, who knows, testosterones, something through so that the fear is being overpowered by that, and that probably works for many. Or we overwork, we overeat, we do all these things to numb ourselves out so we don't feel this fear. And I'm aware there's of course other emotions too that we do that to not feel it. But when we really look at the core of fear, that is kind of where everything else arises from. And then we have all these ways that we live our lives to compensate. But what is this fear? Do you ever ask yourself, what is fear? Most of us react to it, or react to it and try and, compensate for something bad happening, or react to it by closing down and numbing up so we don't feel it. Whatever we do, there's many, many ways. But the question remains, what is this fear? What is it? I hope I can inspire you today to take that on as a real inquiry for yourself. And what you'll notice is that it is just this suggestion, whether it feels like it's coming from within or from the outside, probably maybe from the news these days, but still it is inside of us. There is something in us that jumps out to meet this fear, to engage in it, to feel the impact of this suggestion. And it's super uncomfortable, right? Living in fear 24/7, which most people do. I'm not separate from that. Fear has been something I have been needing to deal with. It was very unconscious in my earlier days, but then when I started becoming conscious of my inner experience, I realized there was like a ton of fear because I grew up, in a family with a father who was a rageaholic and he was always blaming and shaming and threatening and hitting. So, of course, my nervous system took that on like the world is dangerous. And that's the core, I think, of most of us, that we live somehow that the world is dangerous. Now, if you look at the world, it's like, yeah, it's pretty dangerous out there. You can't deny that, right? But this is not how it is meant to be. We can choose differently if you want to. Part of my exploration in this fear, I've shared that before, is that it was almost like the biggest fear was to let go of the fear. Remember the other day I talked about there's this, we're holding something and then there's something that keeps it in place. You can go back and watch that video if you want, if you haven't seen it yet. So that's how it often is. Like we have this core trauma, fear, whatever it is, belief. And there's something that is scary about not having that because it's so darn familiar. And somehow, back in the days, we took on that holding pattern because it felt like that was a safe way to live through maybe a traumatic childhood or whatever. There was something like we contracted. And we've been living with that, and somehow there is a sense of safety in there. And it seems like unsafe to not hold that. So I really want to emphasize that today, how we have been programmed, layers of fear upon fear upon fear, to the point where it's so familiar, and familiarity can feel safe, right? So maybe the only safety we have when there is a lot of fear is the familiarity of the fear. I'm kind of unwrapping this fear a little bit and hoping that you can start seeing if any of this relates to you. What has been very helpful for me is over time, and a lot of the things that I've shared here, how to move from the old paradigm or the false matrix, into the heart, all the steps, all the practices we need to take, several videos on that. How important that has been to keep unhooking every time there is a grip, unhook, so that we come to the deeper and deeper layers of the grip, of the fear, of the separation, of the feeling separate from the divine. And again, super important to do that so you don't do the bypass. That's all I talked about in those recent videos. And then at a certain point, it's almost like that's what I'm exposing today more of. I think I've talked about it before, but it feels like another layer has opened up for me to talk about because I've seen it in myself. It's like a deepening of my own practice, is to see that it's like it's impersonal. This fear is impersonal. That means that it is not yours. It is not mine. It's not personally mine. It's not personally yours. It's an impersonal hypnotic suggestion. Again, I'm quoting Joel. The word impersonal is huge in his teachings. And since I was so connected with him many years ago, and still am, but I was very involved in the teaching, that word impersonalization, and it's impersonal. Huge, huge part of becoming free. But you see, the thing is, when you are so wrapped up in it here over in the false matrix with the fear, you do believe it is yours. So for me to say to you, if you're caught up here in the false matrix in a tight fear knot, if I'm going to say to you, oh, that feels very personal. So if I'm going to say to you, oh, it's not personal, you can just let it go. You probably want to punch me, and rightly so, because like that's not helpful, right? But that's why little by little, we start finding out like, yeah, I really want to liberate this part. And then right there, it's already softening a little bit. And then we can use this freed up energy instead of resisting it. Now we can support it. So as this becomes more liberated, then eventually we can see it for what it is. It is just this thing, and it has nothing to do with me or you. And that's why the work that we do to get to this place where there is so much separation or a gap that we can actually look at, it's like, what the heck is this? And that's been my practice for a while, and it's been deepening. And so instead of being pulled in by it, I can see like, oh, you want me to feel afraid if I'm not afraid of you anymore. Oh, that's interesting. So it was all knotted up in like a yarn. And the more separation or gap I have from this, and I can just see, yeah, oh, wow, okay. And in that gap, I have so much more choice. That doesn't mean this little guy here is going to give up trying to hypnotically suggest to come back. It's not over overnight, but I can see it more. And I can see, wow, that is not me. And in just seeing it that way, there's a deep breath like, oh my God, what a relief. So it's not me. There's really nothing I need to do about it. I can really say, you know what? I'm not interested anymore. Boom. That's coming from a place of peace and a place of sovereignty, a place of power where I know this is not me. It's been hypnotizing me to believe that it is me and that I needed to do all this work. All the work I needed to do is loosen up my grip from this thing that hypnotically wants to suggest to me that I should be afraid of more or less everything. And then when I can see it, I'm like, I'm actually not interested. Now that I can see you for what you are, I couldn't see it when I was here because I was all wrapped up in it and my whole nervous system was like, what? But then as this has been happening, and I'm like, wow, sorry, sorry, honey, not interested. Something shifts right there. And You can also go back and watch the video where I talk about that I broke up with fear. So you can see this is not a new thing and it doesn't happen overnight. I have to repeat it and keep going back to it because this one doesn't just give up because it's everywhere. But imagine if we all did this little guy here is going to be starved to death, not just here, but everywhere. And then it will not have that same impact and conviction that it is scary because less and less are feeding it. So I'm doing my little offering here for you to see if you can start disengaging in a way so until you can really see it for what it is. Now, what do I want when I'm not lost in this? Now I have all this free energy. What do I want? For me, a very natural step out of this is I just want peace. I just want peace because this has been so the opposite of peace that there is a deep longing for peace. And that's very common, right? We have an experience and then we start wanting the opposite. So it's a natural part of it that, again, don't bypass that. Give yourself the gift of saying, yeah, I just want peace. I only want peace. And then let that be your guide when this comes in. So this is kind of something you can see if it resonates with you, okay? If this fits on your journey right now. It may not, and so don't worry about it. But if it does, you can just every time it comes like, you know what? No, not interested. I want peace, and I want peace to fill my whole body and being. So there is no room for this because this is not fear. So there's no more room. I'm going to occupy my own being again. I don't want the fear freeloaders anymore. Nope, no more. I don't have to punch them out. I don't have to battle with them or wrestle with them. I don't have to yell at them. That might be at a certain point when we are learning to set boundaries. We have to be very strong. But right now, for me, it's just like, you know what? I'm not interested. And that's just the end of the story. There's not much more to say about it. But I want peace. I want peace. And then I really own that as the sovereignty that I am. I am peace. So in a way, I'm claiming my peace because that is what I am. I'm claiming my home, my being, my soul, my expression. I'm claiming it. Very powerful because I'm not claiming it as something in my head, It's like, no, I'm claiming back my soul. And it's an energy. Everything is energy. So by claiming back peace, my soul, and then I let that fill me, fill my being. It fills everything. So everything that is not peace, this little one, is naturally going to be either filled with peace or moved out. I don't know. But you will notice that the peace really starts filling you. And the more I do that, the more we do that, we're claiming, we're setting an intention that ripples out. You may remember having heard me talk about that in one of the videos. We let it ripple out so that the field, which is everywhere, inside and out, now can start rippling differently than the fear, because that was what we were sending out. It was like, no, I'm done with fear, peace. So now I claim that, I set the intention. I just want peace. And you know what? We have to claim it. We have to own it all the time. It's not just a one-time deal. It's like over and over, so that the neural pathways, which have been wiring and firing and wiring for fear, boom, now we are constantly claiming, no, I want peace. And that starts rewiring the brain. And therefore, the more we do it as a regular practice, maybe 1,000 times a day, I mean, every time you catch yourself moving into fear, it's like, I'm not interested. I'm not interested. So it becomes a constant thing, and there's many times we may not notice it because fear is everywhere. It wants to creep in everywhere. But there's like, no, I want peace. So I want to share that today as one part of the journey, okay? If this is not where you are yet, if you are here trying to get out of something really uncomfortable, I would not suggest this yet because you might be bypassing something here and it's going to come back and bite you. At some point, we have to go back and liberate and integrate and soften all the parts that are still in the grip of fear until we can see it for what it is. Like, wow, this has been running my whole life. Wow. Well, I'm done. We're done. Bye-bye. Now I want this peace or whatever it is for you. I'm just giving an example, what's going on for me. Find what's true for you. The longing is a big piece of it because when we have been living in fear, there is a natural longing for peace. Honor that. Let yourself drop into that. Own it. Claim it with love. Say, yes, I want peace now. And then you go there as often as possible. So you can see it's just a different flavor of what I've talked so much about longing, how to really be present with it. There is a video with a little meditation about longing, how to really feel it. The feeling, it's all in the feeling and the energy. That's all I can say. So I want to just stop here with that for today. Please give it a try and see how it is for you to just see all the fear that's living in your body. It's a hypnotic suggestion that wants your engagement. You don't have to give it to it. Do you need help with this? Please reach out. Set up a time with me for a self-discovery session where we can explore to see if you really want to take this to a deeper level of freedom and peace. And the first Tuesday of the month, I'm offering an online gathering called Feel Your Deepest Longing, Find Your Spiritual Calling. So you see, we're going into the longing and finding what it is that we're here for. Being peace and being love is a big part of why we're here. We just have to claim it over and over. All right, my friends, please like, subscribe, share, comment, let me know. how this all lands for you. And maybe you can share what is the main hypnotic fear suggestion that keeps knocking at your door every day, just to get it out, just to expose it, so you eventually can see it for what it is. Have a beautiful day.